up, guys? It's Sam back here with another Small Business Wednesday. Here with my good friends from Alarmist Brewing, Alarmist Brewing and Tap Room, Alarmist Brewing Company.
Alarmist Brewing is fine. We do have a tap room, so that's also correct.
We'll get there in a minute. But just another in my series trying to showcase some local businesses that I love, that the community loves. Today we're talking beer. I know this is a theme in all my videos, but today we have an awesome opportunity to kind of walk through the brew house. I have with me Ethan Summer, who brews, what's your title? Operations?
Logistics manager,
Packaging manager. Did you come up with that yourself?
Gary,
that's a good title.
Gary figured that out on a plane one time.
Gary Gully, the owner, not present today. He has more important things to do. Probably.
Typical.
Yeah,
typical owner excuse.
And Aaron Dahl. And Aaron is the head brewer here. Your title is what, brewmaster?
I'll go head brewer.
Head brewer?
Yeah, I don't
Cool.
like the term brewmaster.
It's problematic.
Yeah.
I think just the term.
It's a lifetime to chase.
Exactly, yeah.
Like people who call themselves brewmasters typically give that title to themselves.
Right, yeah, that's the question. Well, cool, so I think we're gonna walk through, we're gonna have these guys do what they do best, which is talk about how good they are at beer while we drink some beer. And so without further ado, let's walk through. What are we looking at?
This is our brew house. So this is my office essentially where I spend the majority of my time. It's a 2-vessel, 20-barrel system, so you can produce a fair amount of beer, a barrel being like 31 gallons.
31
Just
gallons,
to
okay.
give that some sort of meaning to people not in the industry. So yeah, this is where all the process starts. Right
Okay.
here.
So is there like programming that you do? I mean, I see a lot of switches, so like, are you going in here, I'm sure there's computerized something involved, like, or is it all hydraulic and
It's
mechanical?
basically just pumps and manual valves and just moving liquid and grain from one place to another essentially, and how we manipulate is how we make the different styles of beer that we do here.
Sure. So just for people to kind of understand a little bit better, what's kind of wild about the process is that it is almost entirely mechanical. Every step of the way, you're telling the system what to do, and it's not like there's some sort of there's a formula, but it's not like there's, do you know what I'm kind of getting at? It's like, you're literally pushing a button to move stuff through, and every step of the way, you're measuring, you're kind of running it through. I mean, that's crazy to think about, that like, someone can love a brewery, buy 4-packs for years, and never think about the fact that you guys are back here for every can of beer,
Right.
pushing the water through, the malt, the grain, like everything, every ounce of it is like man-powered.
Yeah,
Or woman-powered.
That's a joke, that I make often is like, what do you do? It's like I move liquid from one place to another.
Yeah.
Just like I'm moving it from here to here, or here to, when we walk over there, we're moving it, it's like, in the simplest terms, that's kind of
Sure.
what we're doing here.
That's awesome. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like work in the minutia. Well, there's science to it too.
A lot of science, a lot of art, and things can go wrong very quickly.
Oh my God, yeah.
If you don't balance that correctly.
Yeah, and dealing with bacteria, managing bacterial growth, and the whole taste of the beer is dependent on managed bacterial growth, right?
That's
Kind of.
our biggest, sanitation is the most important thing we do here, and that can destroy everything that you've spent hours doing
Right.
very quickly. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I spend most of my time doing is cleaning stuff.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to do this was take us through the natural birth of a beer from beginning to end in the most succinct way we can do. So I guess it starts here, and then where do we go?
In the simplest terms, we're essentially trying to extract sugar from grain, from barley specifically, and that what we call a mash tun over there, and then we separate at that point is called wort, which is basically like a very rich sugar water. We separate the grain from the wort and then push it into this vessel and boil it for several reasons. Sanitation, adding hops, essentially like adding spices and stuff. And then the goal is to ferment that sugar water that we created and create beer
Right.
and alcohol. So
That's the good stuff.
In the simplest terms, that's how I would describe it.
That's good.
Just
No,
trying
that's
to
good
make
enough.
a very nice,
Weird
nice
science.
sugar water,
Yeah.
and then turn it into.
Yeah. Nice. So where does it go from here? So
after the kettle, which is over there, it
Okay.
essentially runs through that device down there, which is called a heat exchanger, because
you want to get this a little, Chris?
Yeah.
the wort at that point is, a little bit below boiling temperature, so probably about 200 or so. And yeast is very sensitive to temperature, and for most of our beers, which are ales here, you want it to be at about 68 degrees, so you got to go from
Okay.
200 to 68 very quickly.
Okay.
So that's what that device does via water and glycol, which is essentially a coolant, almost like a radiator in your car.
Oh, good.
Keeps the
Okay.
engine cool.
Nice.
And that's what I'm looking at up here. That's why you see a lot of thermometers and
Right.
temperature gauges, because temperature is everything in
Sure.
beer production. So,
Nice.
again, like you mentioned, via pumps and tubing and everything, I'm moving it out of there, eventually out of here, through a hose into whatever tank that we're going to be filling.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Cool. So then the next step, shall we move on?
Yes.
Cool. After you.
Nice. Perfect.
So where are we at now?
This is what we call the cellar. So these are 40 barrel fermenters. So it takes, like I mentioned, our brew house is a 20 barrel brew house. It takes 2 brews to essentially fill one of these vessels.
Got it. So you're doing 2 batches of one beer to fill one bright tank. Fermenter, sorry.
Yeah, these are fermenters. These are bright
These are
tanks.
bright
We will talk all about those.
Cool.
So this is where the beer is actually fermenting, depending on the style of beer. If it's a ale or a lager, it might be in here for a couple weeks, or it might be in here for 6 weeks.
Okay.
I'm drinking a lager right now, so that's, you're talking about a 6-week time that it's going to essentially live in that tank.
So is it generally less time for a lighter beer, more time for a darker beer, or it has nothing to do with time in the fermentation process has nothing to do with how light or dark beer?
Yeah, not with color, with yeast and what the style is.
Okay, got it.
So like there's a lot of dark lagers, but
Sure.
since it's a lager, it's going to be a longer time in the tank.
Got it.
Whereas if you get like a stout or something, which is an ale, you're talking about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, cool. Great. So where are we going next?
And then after this, after the beer is fermented and clear and cold, we move it into the final stage of the process before it's packaged into what we call a bright tank.
Bright tank.
These are, essentially just a tank without a cone like these, as you see in the fermenters, which I could talk about if you want, but we don't have to. But this is the final stage of the process where we're carbonating the beer and getting it ready to be either put into a can or keg.
Okay, so it's kind of flat at this point when it
Yeah.
heads to the bright tanks.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're kind of at 3 stages so far. We're at the initial stage, mash tun, that stuff.
Yep.
We head to the
Cellar.
Cellar.
Yeah. So you got brewing,
And then-
cellaring, and then this I would call packaging.
packaging,
The final stage of the
or
process.
final stage. And
Yep.
then, so generally that's kind of Ethan's gig,
Yeah,
right?
once everything gets moved over to the bright tanks, we make sure carb up the beer, get those lovely little bubbles in there.
He takes the wheel from that point. Like my job is getting it here, and then I'm like, okay, do with it what you want.
Exactly. Like then he moves back right on over to his side and brews up the next batch. But at that point, I'm scheduling out how much we're going to be kegging versus canning, how much is going to be going out to our different.
So that's where the logistics kind of operations come in, because you need to manage output.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I work with our sales manager Joe, and between him and I, we
Joe Heil, drive through the garden.
Yes, indeed.
That's it.
Vegan extraordinaire.
Yes.
But with me and him, we work together to get everything out to market, to all your favorite bars and bottle shops.
Cool. And
Are they
then
still called bottle shops?
Bottle shops?
Can shops
Can
now?
shops,
Yeah,
yeah.
everything's
old timey.
Yeah.
Old timey
bottle shop?
But hey,
Old-timey Weimar.
people, old timey is very popular right now.
Oh yeah.
People love the old timey. I'm saying so.
Cut! Edit that out.
We'll fix it in post.
Can we move over to the tanning line? The canning line.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we? What is this behemoth?
This is our new Alpha beer canning. This is the canning line.
Nice. It looks expensive.
It was a pretty penny.
So how does this work?
So we start off with a depalletizer.
Okay.
So this device, we actually take an entire pallet of cans and feed it into this doorway here.
Okay.
When it gets up to the top, it has an arm that slowly pushes cans over, feeds it onto a conveyor, down this twist rinse here, and into the canning line.
So it rinses as so. Oh, you actually
Yep,
hook up
this box
water.
over here. Yep, and then
that
the
rinses
drain
it
here.
from it.
So yeah, everything
Okay.
sprays that out, feeds it on down.
Okay. And then what happens here?
Right here feeds right into the fill heads here. So this has a purge on the back end, and then 2 fill heads, 5 each on each side.
So
we
that's
can do
5 lines of beer.
That's 10 lines total. There's
Okay.
2 sides to this whole machine.
But what's a purge line? What does that
Purge, that's CO2. So we want a nice blanket of
Got it.
CO2 in that can.
That's why-
oxygen is always the enemy of finished beer.
That's how the beer can sit shelf stable.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Longer and longer, the better you are about your numbers. What we look for is dissolved oxygen.
Okay.
While we don't have what's called a DO meter just yet. That's our big buy this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing that we are looking to stay away from in packaging as much as possible. We don't want oxygen touching our beer whatsoever.
Yeah.
Keeps our lagers fresher longer, especially the hoppier styles like Les Jus.
Okay.
So we make sure we
Gold
purge.
medal award-winning Les Jus.
So we make sure to purge every single can. We keep an eye on everything as it goes along. There's even a nice little CO2 blade right here before the lids go on.
So does that like force CO2 down? Or?
So no, it doesn't force CO2. There's actually a little lip down here. So there's CO2 being blasted on the back end of the can lid as it goes down onto the beer.
I see.
So we got a nice, just as much CO2 blanketing
Little extra
everything.
insurance.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Cool. What's next?
Then we feed into what's called the indexer. It's this fun little corkscrew looking guy.
And that helps to push them along.
And that just feeds it along into the seamer, where we have 2 ops come in, and seam the can completely. Move it on down to rinse and onto a labeler if we don't have our printed Les Jus cans for the day. And down to a pack decker.
Okay. Can you say that again?
Pack Tecker.
Okay. Okay.
It's a Pack Tech machine. So
Okay.
back in the day, we used to do it by hand. Now it feeds it right in there.
Basically puts this on top of our 4-pack.
Boom.
Got it.
So this is called a pack tech.
Oh, and that was the.
Used to do it by hand, but on some pretty long runs, that gets
Oh, yeah.
old quickly. So this
Yeah.
nice machine does that for us now.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
And then the fun rollers.
Which
Give it a
is
spin.
They do
Yeah.
work.
They work.
They work.
They
very
work.
well.
Look at that. And they're shiny.
Yeah.
So it's a mark of quality. Well, cool. That's awesome. So then that's when you get your 4-pack of beer that you can pick up at any local purveyor here.
Or right here at our tap.
Or right here at the tap room. You can say hi to these ugly mugs. Anything else you want to show us in the brew house? I mean, it's kind of just stacks of kegs and cans, right? Storage.
A lot of storage.
Yeah. That's like a lot of storage.
A lot of storage.
A lot of
I mean, there's a
warehousing,
huge
a lot of
space.
cans, a lot of things.
Cool. Maybe let's walk through the rest of it. Just kind of Thanks for taking us through there, guys, the brew house. We're now in the tap room. Alarmist has a beautiful tap room right here on, what is it?
Peterson.
Peterson. The street called Peterson. And here we are. We have the, what is this? That's a trail, isn't it?
Weber Spur Trail. It's a now defunct Canadian railway.
Wow, that's kind of cool. Also joining us, we have Chris Deering, taproom manager here, taproom manager extraordinaire. What are your other titles?
When he wants me to do things, I do it. When he wants me to do things, I do it. When Gary wants me to do things, I don't ever do it.
Sure. So Gary Gully, of course, we mentioned him several times. He will not be appearing in this video as he has more important things to do.
He's the owner.
Yeah, he's the owner, so he's probably at home.
He's doing ownery things.
He's doing ownery stuff. So
He has his own adjective.
yeah, exactly. Yes, which we will not mention on this video.
Multiple.
There's more of a noun, I think.
Well, depends on how you use it.
I've heard you guys use it as a verb as well. So
That'll be in the director's cut.
yeah, yeah.
Only fans.
I'll have to decide whether I'm editing that out.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh, is that inappropriate?
All's fair in love and war in coronavirus. Speaking of which, how's it been going? I mean, you guys are still brewing a ton of beer. I mean, what's going on?
Still here, still brewing. Like the rest of the industry, we've been forced into a position of having to shift mostly to packaged beer, which has made his life very busy.
Great.
Hence why we got the new canning line that you showed off. So,
Great, yeah.
Yeah, just adjusting like everyone else and surviving, trying to.
Yeah.
Tap room has been closed, and has been closed.
Well, I talked to so many other, other people running small businesses in Chicago during coronavirus, and the name of the game is if you don't pivot, you die. It's like, and you guys have pivoted to the point where, by the grace of some sort of power, you're still here, and that's amazing. I'm sure the neighborhood loves you guys, right? Sauganash, here Peterson and Kedzie. Pulaski. Man, I'm just firing on all cylinders. Yeah. But
Google Maps.
You're Google Maps, yes. So then I guess on the taproom side, like, what are we looking at? Are we opening again soon?
We will be opening very soon. Working to making sure that all of us are safe, and which also reflects on having everybody else that comes in here that they're safe. So following science and numbers to make sure that if we're going to sell people beer, that it's going to be for the benefit of everyone. So that's our main reason for taking a little bit more time than just being ready to open, because we're still like they said, we're selling a lot more packaged beer out there. It kind of affords us the grace to hold off and kind of take care of ourselves and not worry about it, but take care of other people. So
Sure, that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, we've always had curbside for since everything happened, and the neighborhood supports us. It's tough because it's hard to during this entire thing to be able to go and spend money and go different places and feel safe. So it's a tough thing to navigate, but we've made it through. So
that's awesome.
Thank you to everybody that supported us throughout here and everywhere. So
yeah, that's amazing. And I guess what would you say is the brand, underneath the brand, what is Alarmist? What sets you guys apart besides all your medals and your accolades and all your support and the people who love you, which there's so many people who do? What do you think sets Alarmist apart from everybody else? Or what do you think is the brand beneath the brand, if you could speak to that a little bit?
It's something we've talked about a lot, and Chris, and you have always said that we're very just genuine, true to ourselves. We don't do stuff that we don't want to do. Everything is authentic.
Yeah.
That's the big
number one, authentic.
Yeah.
Authenticity
we're not
is
chasing
key.
things that we don't want to do or don't feel right about.
Trends, beers.
Yes.
You're going to make what you believe is good beer,
Correct.
no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the goal. And
Yeah.
then we try to. Chris does a very good job of also embracing that in the tap room, in the culture of the tap room as well. When we open up again soon.
Yeah.
Just staying true and authentic to ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah, one thing that absolutely, it's in very deep culture of authenticity. It's because we believe in everybody that works here, and it means a lot to trust in everybody to do what's right and to do the right thing. And we all make mistakes, and it's kind of it's like a family where when you make a mistake, you kind of punish each other more than you should because it makes you better. But it's also authentic in the idea of when we serve people. To me, there's very limited degrees of separation. If you come in here, you're gonna see the same person all the time. There's no disconnect. It's the same people doing the same thing every time. Ready to serve you, ready to laugh with you, ready to talk straight beer with you when you're ready. So I think that's the idea of why we are who we are.
Well, I think we can all get behind that. Cheers. Thanks for having me, guys. This
Thank
is
you.
awesome.
Thank you, Sam.
Come visit Alarmist Brewing. What is the address?
4055 West Peterson. Sweet beer!
From the mouth of babes. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for another Small Business Wednesday. We'll see you next time.